Number 10. The fresh orange juice lie. That carton of 100% pure, not from concentrate orange juice has been sitting in a tank for up to a year. When oranges are squeezed at an industrial scale, the juice is put into gigantic storage tanks. To keep it from spoiling, they strip out all the oxygen. But when the oxygen leaves, something else leaves with it. The flavor. The liquid that comes out of those tanks tastes like sugar water. It's dead. So companies hire flavor and fragrance firms to create flavor packs. These are carefully engineered chemical mixtures made from orange byproducts that are added back into the juice to make it taste like oranges again. Each brand has its own secret formula. That's why Tropicana always tastes like Tropicana, and Simply Orange always tastes like Simply Orange. They are adding a proprietary flavor profile to otherwise flavorless juice. Because these flavor packs are technically derived from orange essence, they don't have to be listed on the ingredients, so the label can legally say 100% orange juice. The same companies that design these flavor packs also design perfumes for Calvin Klein and Dior. Your morning glass of fresh OJ is being flavored by the same people who make luxury cologne. Number 9. The Light Bulb Death Pact. In 1924, the world's biggest light bulb manufacturers, Philips, GE, and others, met in Geneva. They didn't meet to make better bulbs, they met to make worse ones, on purpose. In the early days of electric light, engineers were getting too good at their jobs. A bulb made in 1901, the Centennial bulb, is still burning today in a California fire station. It's been on for over 120 years. The companies realized that a product that never breaks is a business nightmare. So they formed a secret cartel, which they called the Phoebus Cartel. Their goal was to artificially limit the lifespan of a standard light bulb to 1,000 hours. Before the cartel, bulbs commonly lasted 2,500 hours or more. After the cartel, that number dropped to exactly 1,000. They actually fined member companies if their bulbs accidentally lasted too long. Engineers who had spent their careers trying to make things last were now ordered to design them to fail, and it worked. Bulb sales soared. People just accepted that light bulbs burned out constantly. They had no idea it was the result of a conspiracy. This idea of deliberately designing a product to fail became the blueprint for modern manufacturing. It's called planned obsolescence. Your phone that slows down after 2 years. Your washing machine that dies just after the warranty expires. Your printer that suddenly stops working for no reason. It all started with a group of men in a room who decided that a perfectly good light bulb was bad for business. Number 8. The chainsaw's horrifying origin. You know that sound a chainsaw makes. That loud, angry, teeth-grinding roar. Doctors invented it, not for trees, for childbirth. Back in the 1780s, 2 Scottish surgeons had a problem. During difficult births, sometimes the baby couldn't fit through the mother's pelvis. To make more room, surgeons had to cut through bone and cartilage with a knife. This was before anesthesia. You were awake for the whole thing. The procedure was slow and agonizing, so the surgeons invented a tool to cut through bone faster. A small, hand-cranked saw with teeth on a chain. It looked like a kitchen knife had a baby with a bicycle chain, and it worked. It cut through bone much faster than a knife, which meant less time being conscious while someone sawed through your pelvis. In a twisted way, it was a mercy device. Eventually, surgeons moved on to better tools, but in the 1920s, someone looked at this bone-cutting medical nightmare and thought, you know, that would be great for logging. The tool roaring in your backyard was designed to cut through a human body while the person was awake. Number 7. Bread's hairy secret. The bread you had for breakfast might have a disturbing secret ingredient, human hair. There's an additive in most commercial bread called L-cysteine. It's an amino acid that makes dough softer and extends shelf life, and it has to come from somewhere. The cheapest source for L-cysteine is keratin, the protein found in hair and feathers. Manufacturers get it from 2 places, duck and chicken feathers, and human hair swept up from salon floors in China. The hair is collected, shipped to a factory, and processed until it's a food-grade additive. That additive ends up in your sandwich bread, burger buns, and bagels. The FDA says it's perfectly safe. By the time it reaches your bread, it's been so heavily processed it barely resembles what it started as, but someone's haircut is in your toast. Companies don't advertise this. On the label, it just shows up as L-cysteine or dough conditioner, nothing that would make you put the loaf back. If you want to avoid it, look for bread labeled vegan. Since human hair and feathers are animal-derived, vegan bread uses a more expensive synthetic version of L-cysteine instead. The bread made for people who don't eat animals is the one least likely to contain pieces of them. Number 6. Apple's secret slowdown switch. Your iPhone gets slower over time. You've probably noticed it. After a year or two, apps take longer to open. The keyboard lags. The whole thing just feels old. So you figure it's time to buy a new one. That feeling is not an accident. It was engineered by Apple. In 2017, Apple was caught deliberately slowing down older iPhones through software updates. They finally admitted it, but they had an excuse. They said it was to protect aging batteries, which can't handle power spikes and might cause the phone to shut down. That sounds reasonable. Here's the problem. They never told anyone they were doing it. Your phone just got slower, and you were left to assume it was just old and needed replacing. They hid the real solution. A simple battery replacement, which cost about $29 at the time, would have made the phone fast again. Apple knew most people wouldn't connect the slowdown to the battery. They'd just assume their $700 phone was dying and go buy a new $1,000 one. It was a feature disguised as a failure. After being hit with a $500 million lawsuit for the deception, Apple suddenly made it much cheaper to replace batteries and added a feature to let you turn the slowdown off. Funny how that works. Number 5. Diamonds are worthless rocks. You've been taught that diamonds are rare, precious, and the ultimate symbol of love. That's all a lie. A brilliant marketing campaign from the 1940s. Diamonds are not rare. In the late 1800s, huge diamond mines were discovered, flooding the market. To protect their investment, a group of investors formed a company called De Beers and bought up almost every diamond mine on the planet. They created a monopoly, locked the diamonds in vaults, and released just enough each year to create the illusion of scarcity. But controlling supply wasn't enough. They had to invent demand. Before 1940, diamond engagement rings were not a common tradition, so De Beers hired an ad agency. They put diamonds on movie stars. They linked diamonds to eternal love, and they invented the rule that a man should spend 2 months' salary on a ring. They just made that up, and it worked. They didn't just sell a product, they manufactured a cultural tradition from scratch. The result? The resale value of a diamond is terrible. It loses over 50% of its value the second you walk out of the jewelry store. It's not an investment, it's a retail product with an insane markup. Today, lab-grown diamonds are chemically and physically identical to mined diamonds, and they cost about 80% less. The only difference is one came from the ground, and the other didn't. The story De Beers paid a fortune for you to believe. Number 4. Vitamin water's sick joke. The name vitamin water sounds like something a doctor would prescribe. Coca-Cola launched it in the early 2000s and marketed it as liquid health. The bottles had names like Defense, Energy, and Focus. They hired celebrities to promote it. Moms bought it for their kids. Gym goers chugged it post-workout. People drank it instead of soda, thinking they were making a healthy choice. Here's the secret. One bottle of vitamin water contains around 30 grams of sugar. That's nearly the same as a can of Coke. The thing people were drinking instead of soda was basically just soda in a lab coat. A non-profit sued Coca-Cola for deceptive marketing. Coca-Cola's legal defense was, and this is a direct quote, that no reasonable person would actually believe vitamin water was a healthy drink. Their own lawyers argued that only an idiot would have believed their marketing. After spending millions to convince you it was healthy, their defense was to call you a fool for believing them. That's not a legal defense. That's a villain monologue. Number 3. The zero-calorie cooking spray lie. Cooking spray, 0 calories. Sounds like a miracle, right? It's actually one of the sneakiest tricks in the food industry. Here's how it works. The FDA has a rule that says if a serving size contains less than 5 calories, companies can legally round it down to 0. Not almost 0, just 0. So what did cooking spray companies do? They made the official serving size a 1/3 of a second spray. Go ahead and try to spray for only 1/3 of a second. It's impossible. Nobody has ever cooked like that. But on paper, that tiny ghost spray has less than 5 calories, so the label can say 0. A realistic spray, the kind a human uses, lasts about 5 seconds. That's 15 of those official servings, which means you're getting somewhere between 30 and 50 calories from a product that proudly says 0. If you look at the ingredients, the first thing listed is usually canola oil, pure fat. There is no version of reality where pure oil has 0 calories, but the serving size trick makes it legal. Some people use cooking spray specifically because they're counting calories. They spray away, feeling healthy, completely unaware their 0-calorie choice is quietly adding up. Number 2. The glasses industry monopoly. You probably think you're choosing between dozens of different brands when you buy a pair of glasses. You're not. You're choosing between different costumes worn by the same actor. One single company, an Italian giant called Luxottica, controls over 80% of the world's major eyewear brands. Your Ray-Bans? Luxottica. Oakley's? Luxottica. Prada, Chanel, Versace, Burberry, Ralph Lauren, Dolce & Gabbana, all made by Luxottica. Where do you buy them? LensCrafters? Owned by Luxottica. Sunglass Hut? Luxottica. Target Optical? Pearl Vision? You guessed it. All Luxottica. When you walk through a mall to shop around, you're just walking from one Luxottica store to another. It's an illusion of choice. Those frames that cost you $500, they cost about $15 to make. You pay the markup because there is almost no competition. Luxottica can set whatever price it wants. To complete the circle, they also own one of the biggest vision insurance companies in the US, iMed. So, they sell you the insurance. That insurance pushes you to one of their stores, where you buy one of their brands, made in one of their factories. At every single step, Luxottica is taking a cut. It's one of the most complete and invisible monopolies on the planet. Number 1. Printer ink is liquid gold. Your printer is not your friend. It's a machine designed to slowly drain your bank account. Printer ink costs more per ounce than many luxury perfumes. We're talking up to $75 per ounce, and the printer itself is a liar. When that low ink warning pops up, your cartridge often still has 20 to 40% of its ink left. The printer is programmed to tell you it's empty before it actually is, tricking you into throwing away perfectly good ink and buying more. It's called the razor and blades model. Companies sell you the printer at a loss because the printer isn't the product. Your infinite need for their proprietary ink is the product. HP, Canon, and Epson make the vast majority of their money selling you cartridges that cost a few dollars to make, for 50 or 60 bucks, and they lock you in. Each brand uses unique cartridges that only work with their printers. Third-party companies try to offer cheaper alternatives, so printer manufacturers fought them in court and started programming printers to reject non-brand cartridges. In one infamous case, HP pushed a firmware update that automatically installed overnight on their customers' printers. People woke up to find their printers no longer worked with the cheaper third-party ink they'd been using. The update's only function was to fix a problem customers didn't have, saving money.